Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. And this week we have a very strange episode because of reasons that I will explain. You know what? Why not? I will explain them right away. Why not? So last week, like 10 minutes into the video or something like that, my audio just stopped working so that Chris could hear me on the call. But OBS, my recording software, was not picking it up. And it just stopped, and we did not notice and had no way of knowing until somebody called it out when we posted the video to YouTube, because I'm really lazy.
Shout out to
and
Hoob.
I do zero editing. Yeah, we owe him a lot of thanks for a lot of things. That was a big one. So I apologize for the lack of video last week because we took it down, of course. And then the kicker is
I'm
that
docking your pay now, Shawn.
I am very upset. By the way, what is my pay?
My attention.
I'm having my Chris attention time docked. That hurts me a little bit. He's probably going to say something mean about the Community movie just to get me back. But anyway, we do. So it's also worth noting that last week it had already been like 3 or 4 weeks since we watched these episodes. And then now it has been an additional week. And so we have decided that we're going to kind of short the Peacekeepers just a little bit. We're going to give like the 2-minute review and then the scores that we did retain and all that information. It's been a very long time since we watched that episode. And then in our heads, we already reviewed it one time. So just
and I didn't love it enough to go in deep about it again.
I did not. It was funny, but not good enough. So just my apologies for a weird episode this week. As a direct result of, I'm gonna blame OBS. I don't know if it just flickered or something. I don't know how software works, but I'll take the heat for that one. And the doc and Chris attention time. If he just closes out of the call 10% early, that's my doc in pay. So I apologize. But we will cover the Peacekeepers, which is episode 5, just a little bit, real high level, the 2-minute version in this episode, which is going to be mostly about the Sting. Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits, Chapter 6, because I actually remembered to do the chapter of the book this week, 6, The Sting. But before we get to that, Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, that Stimmy's already about to hit my bank account. Not that it makes a big difference. I mean, it does make a big difference.
Stimmy yeah, it absolutely does.
My mom, who I was talking to my mom the other day. And she was like, shoot, y'all should do good. Y'all got all them kids. And I'm like, whoa, you're not one to talk about saying who got all them kids because you had 4 of them. And technically, my dad has 5. Not technically, actually, he has 5. So I don't have all them kids compared to you.
Got fraction of is the phrase she's looking for. Fraction of them kids.
Not doing good.
Excellent. I was really just relieved to hear that it's going out. Of course, we can all pick nits about like the way that we think and amount and the who or whatever. But in general, I'm glad that it's going to get out there to a lot of people, that it will make a huge difference to.
I bought a TV today.
Did you buy it from a local manufacturer, Chris?
No.
Great. You're completely misunderstanding the purpose. You're supposed to buy.
It went to Jeff Bezos' pocket, or Mackenzie Bezos, whoever is getting that money now.
You are supposed to go down to the guy down the street that builds TVs from scratch, and you're supposed to give that guy your money. Embarrassing. Or Radio Shack.
Is his name Sony?
His name is. If you can find a Radio Shack, I feel like buying a TV from Radio Shack would still count. I'm going to take the opportunity to pay somebody to do some home repairs because I hate home repairs and I'm bad at home repairs. And while normally my wife would insist that we try ourselves, in this case, it's like, wife, we got to stimulate the local economy. Got to hire these people.
I mean, I'm doing a lot of work on my house. Someone's coming to redo my bathroom in a month. And then I have someone come out to get a quote on a fence. Although I feel like it's going to cost more than I'm willing to pay for a new fence. Because I have a pretty big backyard. It's like half an acre.
We gave up and we just did like the front fence panels. It was way more expensive than I thought a fence was going to be.
Yeah, yeah. My wife, I really don't really need. I want one. I just like having the privacy.
Hmm. And
Um,
kids like not. I don't
yeah.
know.
No, yeah. And the kids like, oh, if I feel like if I have a fence, I can just throw the kids out back and not worry about someone coming up and stealing them. But yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's how we're going to stimulate the local economy is make other people do work that some grown-ups can do, but I cannot, quite frankly.
I can't put in another fence. Like I would have to. Yeah, that's a
I would have to know
maybe I
infinitely more
could.
about fences than I do right now, which is how to climb over them. And that's my cap on fence knowledge. Chris, you got any videos coming out? In fact, I know that you had one come out recently.
Let's see. I had a WandaVision review come out. Um, I should be done with my script for black cartoon characters who aren't black. That should be out hopefully before. It has to be out this March because if not, then the random joke that I came up with doesn't work.
Very time
um,
sensitive.
yes, but I will be reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League, which comes out the 18th, which is almost why one of the reasons why I just bought a TV real quick. 'Cause I just want to. Zack Snyder is a true visionary, and his um, like even if someone don't like his movie, you should just be in awe of the artistry displayed because he makes beautiful looking films.
As soon as you
Um,
said Zack Snyder is a visionary, I heard YouTube yelling at us already. No, I'm happy to jump in that boat of they are an aesthetic treat, an audiovisual, as we would quantify it, an audiovisual treat, regardless of my feelings on the end product. So I would say good timing on the TV.
yeah,
And that's next week, you think, for that review? Like as soon
yeah,
as
I
it
should, yeah, yeah. I tend not to take too long with reviews.
does it drop next Thursday?
Yes, drops on Thursday. It's a 4 hour movie. So, well, I say 4 hour movie, but it's kind of like four parts. It should be really interesting to see how different it is than the Justice League cut that we got because Zach says like one he's never seen it. The people who have seen it, like Christopher Nolan, was told him he was like, don't watch it. It'll break your heart because it's not your vision or anything.
Yeah.
Josh Whedon came in and did a bunch of reshoots, and he makes up probably half. He probably directed about more than half the scenes in the theatrical cut. Um, and I mean, I like the theatrical cut. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, I like those characters, but I'm looking forward to just seeing what Zack Snyder's vision is. Although I feel like it's gonna still make me mad though, because it still will be an incomplete story because he had kind of a three. He had another movie in mind, but anyway, excited for it.
That's also my segue into saying that next week we will be posting our video on Thursday and should be very exciting. So stay tuned if you're like a regular right away listener. I don't know if we have like regular right away listeners, but like Thursday at like 2 or 3 p.m., we'll dump it out there onto the internet to coincide with that. So stay tuned for that. Chris, I had to hijack our podcast just for a minute because I did make a video that it's not posted to my channel. It's for the third party that I do some stuff for sometimes. But I do put it on a playlist on my channel. Would love it if you went and watched that and gave me some feedback. It is about cheap Switch games because I am a tight ass, but I also own a Nintendo Switch, and those things don't always get along very well. And two, I wish I could reach my camera because this week I I hate doing handyman stuff, but right here, right off screen, you can probably hear that. That's the sound of a Neo Geo MVS arcade cabinet. It's about 6.5 feet tall and about 3 feet wide, and I don't know, 3.5 feet deep, and it needs work. It does work. It functions technically, but it's a giant arcade cabinet that somebody gave me under the condition that I tried to fix it. I did not have to pay money for it. It's a very nice gesture. The condition is that I had to try to fix it. And I have some electrical know-how, so I have faith. But if in the coming weeks, if I'm going bald or gray or look like I hate everything, it's probably just due to this guy right over here. But very excited to have that. It's oddly, weirdly big news for me because it's just a free thing that most people would be like, I don't want that in my house. This guy has long wanted one in his house, and they are expensive. So I'm going to take a chance. If anybody out there knows anything about Neo Geo MVS, it's a common arcade cabinet, so that sounds crazy, but it's a fairly common arcade cabinet. Please, Lord, send help to me immediately. Send whatever arcade vibes you've got. I would appreciate it. Chris, other thoughts before we jump into the 2-minute version of the Peacekeepers episode? Notes, news.
Nope.
Fake news. We don't plan our news ahead. We just kind of whatever we see on Twitter in the minutes before the show. No groundbreaking news this week. Maybe that's a good thing. We could use a week without that. Okay, well, let's go to just, again, real high-level Peacekeepers. Just going to get through it mostly to get to our ratings, to have those on record. Chris, I'll let you take it from here if that's all right.
Okay, so what happened in that episode? Korra takes the side of the Southern Water Tribe. Someone in the Northern Water Tribe says, get a real job when she's at a peaceful march, which I found funny last time.
And it was really awkwardly voice acted.
She tries to get the military to help her, the military for Public City, and she goes behind the president's back. Her and Mako have a fight. Then they break up. Korra destroys the whole place. Well, not the whole place. Destroys this table and everything. And Lynn says, what the flameo is happening in here? And then Mako says, I broke up with Korra. And then Lynn says, you got off easy. You should have seen Airtable Island when Tenzin broke up with me, which I found that funny. We did have a viewer who's a very constant viewer, Caitlin, said she didn't like that scene because she feels like the powerful women in the show, at least this is what I'm surmising from her, and this was all respectfully said. She's always respectful. Kind of come off as too pushy, and it's not a good look, I guess. But I'm cool. And also one of her points was like, if someone did that to her, if someone like, or not to her, if someone did that in real life, like pushed over a table and stuff, like that's way too far. Which I agree. I think in real life it's too far, but I think the world in Avatar, that's not too far, right? Like things are more exaggerated. Like that's not that big of a deal to when you can throw a 10-ton rock 500 yards away in the Avatar state, thrown over table is like
proportionately it's very small in ratio.
So
I kind of get what she's saying though. We're talking about like very, very powerful, mentally and physically strong women. It's like, you just go find somebody else. You don't have to get upset. You're gonna be fine. You got all of the choices in the world. But I get it. It's fine. That's a great point. Good call out.
And then Korra has to fight Eska and Desna, which is a really great fight. I really enjoyed that. Really showed Korra's ability and everything. And I think it was greatly animated. And then Korra fights Dark Spirit, and that Dark Spirit attacks her, and that's how the episode ends.
I
think we didn't talk about
Desna. Do they get back home and tell their dad that they think she's dead? Do they get back home in this episode?
They do that in this next episode.
Okay, my bad.
Yes. There is a B plot we didn't talk about last time, and that was Milo teaching the flying lemurs how to just training him. That was a pretty good B plot, but it was there.
It's a surprisingly funny episode. You've got the B plot there. You've got the C plot or B2 plot with Bolin and the Movers.
Oh yeah.
Which provides another one. It was my favorite line is he's like, wow, usually I spend every day getting hit in the head with rocks or something like, or I usually just get hit in the head with a rock. And then Varric is like, being famous is like getting hit in the head with rocks every day. And I don't know why, but I really like that line. So it's like an oddly humorous episode, but in short, you take out the humor parts and what you're left with is a kind of cool fight not a kind of cool, a pretty cool fight, even if it's short lived in the middle of the ocean. And then a lot of like, I don't know, kind of dramatic tension building that doesn't go a whole long ways. So, uh, excellent overview. Final thoughts. Otherwise, we'll just jump into our ratings for this one.
Yeah, it's an okay episode. Yeah, so ratings. 8 on the audiovisual. I really love the infight there with Korra versus Eska and Desna. And there was a couple of explosions I thought was really good. Story-wise, a 7. Thought it was one of those stories that were needed to move the plot along, but it wasn't, I don't know, that impactful. And then memorable, gave it a 6.5. It was okay.
Comes out to
And 7.3.
7.3. That seems respectable, I suppose, or makes sense at least. Audiovisual, I did 8.5. Same rationale. Cool fight. Couple of cool city shots. Nothing crazy. Story itself, like it's really just a lot of like almost like a lot of red herrings until the end. A lot of red herrings until the end. Doesn't feel like it gets anywhere. Memorable, I gave it pretty high. That's just kind of where I lumped it for those kind of small comedic moments that you could stuff similar moments into any episode and they'd be equally as enjoyable, but they're here. So 8.5, and that gave it 8.1, which together 7.7. That's it's lower than middle of the road, respective to Avatar episodes in general, but in a as I'm watching it kind of way, it just feels like a middle of the road episode, I guess. That's Peacekeepers. Sorry I messed up and or software messed up. If I find out that OBS messed up, I'm gonna get so upset at those free software developers doing all this hard work out of the goodness of their hearts. You monsters and your software. Just kidding. OBS people, you're great. That's our recap of Peacekeepers. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the Sting with a full regular review.
All
Although,
right,
Chris, for
this
what it's worth, it's
thing.
been like 4 weeks since I've watched these, like since before we did our 2 news week segments. This has been a long time.
I watched this thing earlier today.
Excellent. I should
So
have.
let's see. So Future Industries, which is the company that Asami runs, is in a bind, and she has to do everything to try and get this company back on. Let's see here. What else happened? Mako is still trying to kind of investigate who blew up the cultural center of the Southern Water Tribe. Everyone just assumes it was Northern Water Tribe because they're currently in the middle of a civil war. But his hunch is that it's something else. Um, and then they have to like lay some plans to try and catch these people. So then Mako has to work with some of the triple triads, and I do like Two-Toe Ping.
He's
Yeah.
like very heavy-handed mob crony
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
in a good way. It comes off the right way, I think.
Yeah. He shows them his toes. He has 6 toes on each foot. He's like, and and like it cuts. Thing is that the episode cuts to not the episode. The scene cuts to just kind of him showing his toes, and he's like, and that's why they call him Two-Toe Ping. And then, and I think Michael's like, so they call you Two-Toe Ping because you have 12 toes. Yeah. Well, 12 toe was already taken by someone in his other gang. So it goes by the thing is, as a viewer, in your head, you're like, well, why doesn't he go by 12 toe Ping? And then he explains it, and they're like, okay, I'm glad they went out of their way to explain why he's called Two-Toe Ping.
I'm just glad they felt the need to point out that that guy was so well aware in the world of organized crime that he knew
Yeah.
the other 12-toed pig.
This reminds me of this. It shouldn't remind me of it, but there's a show called Warrior. It's a show about really interesting show, and it's a karate show, martial arts show. It's about United, like Southern California, San Francisco, in like 1870, somewhere around there. Um, about how like there's all these Chinese gangs and everything, but like they're warring on each other. And I'm not sure if that's accurate. This story is based off of stories by Bruce Lee that he came up with. So I'm sure there was Chinese gangs. I don't know if they were exactly called these people and these different gangs and stuff.
I
But
keep
it's a great
thinking you're
show.
gonna say something that's gonna trigger in my head, like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about." So far, it has not happened.
It has some, okay, if you're a lover of Avatar, you will probably like Warrior. Well, okay, I wouldn't say that.
Is it a
But if you're a
movie or a
lover,
TV
it's a
series?
TV show. It has
Okay.
two seasons. If you're a lover of Avatar because of the martial arts and everything, you will love Warrior. Like the martial arts is so good in it. Um, it sometimes I feel like not racist, but anytime I watch anything with like a lot of Asians in it, like huge Asian cast, I'm always like casting them in my head for Avatar, which is yeah, I wouldn't call it racist. Which is funny enough, one of the
Maybe it's
characters in
more
it,
thoughtful
it's
than
yeah.
racist.
Uh, which one of the characters in it actually, my fan cast for Legend of Korra cast him as Zahir, and his uh, his performance in this reaffirms that, which I never saw Warrior before. In fact, I don't even mention Warrior when I'm talking about him. His name is Joe Taslim. He's a great. He'll be Sub Zero in the Mortal Kombat movie, which I'm looking
Don't
forward
talk
to.
about that movie.
It looks good, Shawn. It looks great. I am so looking forward to that movie.
I have zero faith in any movies based on video games ever in the history of ever at this point. And
Usually, I go ahead. Sorry.
to those people who argue that the original Mortal Kombat movie is like the best video game movie in history, you
Who does that?
the original one,
No,
that's how
who still does who does that? That movie is not that great.
it's not. That's my point, is they can be right. It is probably the best video game based movie in history, unless there's probably recent ones that I'm not thinking of, and it's still garbage, and I don't like it, and I'm really sorry, Mortal
Sonic the
Kombat fans.
Hedgehog, that's it.
Sonic, yeah, okay. I did recently watch Sonic, and I liked it well enough. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again, but it was fine. I saw the appeal. It was better than Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a very low bar.
Look, Sean,
And
this looks. I'm so excited for Mortal Kombat. Like I
I,
watched that trailer at least 5 times,
I
and
will
I was not excited for it before that at all. I was just like, oh, they're making a Mortal Kombat movie, whatever,
I will watch it because I can't help myself. Uh,
because it's free,
and because it's free.
free.
Free for me. Thanks, by the way. And I will say the same. I will also watch Space Jam 2 with the same feelings of regret and shame. But
Thing
whatever
is,
it is.
honestly, Space Jam 2, I guarantee it will be better than Space Jam 1 because LeBron James is actually, even before he was on the Lakers, because I'm a Lakers fan, because I used to not like LeBron because he just didn't like him because his presence in the NBA threatened Kobe's essentially. But even before that, I always have said that LeBron James is a fairly good comedic like actor. Like he's great in the movie with Bill Hader called I forgot what it's called. But he's great in that. He's a solid actor. I think he's a much better actor than Michael Jordan, and so I
Everybody's
think
a
he's
better
going
actor than Michael Jordan.
to actor. So I think I'm
Michael
looking.
Jordan is to actors what video game movies are to cinema.
Well, I mean, I'm not really looking forward to Space Jam, but I'm
The original Space Jam is a terrible movie. It's a fever dream of a movie, but it is my favorite movie of all time. It is a bad movie. I would never defend it. I would never watch anybody outside of that era who didn't care about either of those things to watch it. It is my favorite movie. I can quote the entire thing front to back. Wayne Knight is my favorite character in that movie. Uh, the I can't think of his name. Stan. I can't think of his name in his other
yeah.
movies, like Seinfeld and stuff.
Yeah, I
um,
don't understand.
and I love it. And I would say that there's a good chance this upcoming movie will be a better movie. But I'm just in a state where I'm thinking about this old movie that's 100%
Yeah.
nostalgia that I have for it. So, um,
Did you send me this clip of these two twins doing stand up about Space Jam?
I mean,
So essentially, they're like,
that sounds like something I would do, but I don't recall it. But it sounds exactly like something I would
so,
do.
yeah. So they're like, man, Space Jam, crazy, crazy, man. How do you think that pitch went? Like, how do you think Mike pitched it to like Charles
Is
Barkley?
it the two guys from 21 Jump Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did send you that.
Okay.
I love
So
those
then they're
guys.
like, for those that don't, they're like, all right, I'm gonna be playing Michael Jordan. He's gonna be playing Charles Barkley. Hey, hey, Charles, this is Mike. Oh, hey, Mike, man, what's up? Yo, I want to do this movie where we play basketball. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so you're gonna be on a team, and I'm gonna be on another team. All right, who's on my team? Yeah, on your team is Patrick Ewing, Muggsy Bone, so and so, so and so. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good team. Who's gonna be on your team, Mike? Bugs Bunny. And Charles Barkley was like, what the is this, man? But Mike, nah, Mike, I'm not doing that. All right, wait, Mike. Hey, Shaq is on the line. Hey, Shaq. Hey, man. I'm gonna do a movie. 2 words. Rapping genie. Ah. All right. Hey, Mike. Yeah. Fill me in for Space Jam. I'll do Space Jam.
Rapping Genie. I will say that even if you hate the rest of the movie, the
Sorry.
scene with the basketball Jones playing in the background where they're all going to the doctor's office and psychiatrist and stuff in the original Space Jam is probably one of my most memorable scenes of any movie in history. I love that scene. I love Chris Rock and Barry White and Basketball Jones. I love everything about the scene. It's stupid and it's pointless anywhere outside of that extremely tiny niche of people that care about Space Jam 1. But damn it, I'm in that niche. Long story short, I'm sure that I will not like Space Jam 2 because it's just a different mindset, different time. But I will watch it. I'll watch Mortal Kombat.
With Joe Taslim, who's in this show Warrior, which is about Chinese gangs,
Yeah, that's
which
what we were
remind
talking
me
about.
of the gangs in Legend of Korra. Okay. Tuto Ping and the Triple Triads was actually there to stall Mako and Asami so that someone can rob her warehouse, and they do. And then, oh, so one thing I hate about this episode is that so Mako was like really trying to help Asami out and solve who's behind these things. Goes to Bolin for help. Bolin is like, nah, I don't have time, or I don't want to. Like, I'm an actor now. Like, he's so uppity.
It
Like,
is,
this
but
is your
it's
brother.
consistent with his character at this time. Like Bolin as a character is really, you know,
I
really.
I can't agree with that.
What am I trying to say? Like really temperamentally not always predictable. I don't have any issue with him like suddenly getting a big head. I don't know.
I'm fine with the big hit, but this is your brother who pretty much raised you, right? When your parents are like you, if he needs your help and like it's not like this. It's not like he's like, oh hey, come spend some time with me, let's hang out. And Bolin's like, no, I don't want to hang out with you. He's like, hey, I'm trying to investigate this whole bombing explosion thing, and I could use some muscle here. Like, I need your help. And then he's like, nah, no thanks.
He's trying to be the face of a rebellion, Chris. The
Yeah.
very superficial face.
He's too busy working on the movers, which also is annoying that he can't tell the difference between acting and
That
in real
part's a little
life.
stupid. Yeah, his
Yeah.
wannabe girlfriend that he like that part's a little dumb. Or at least at the bare minimum, it drags on way too long in terms
Mm.
of it should have been like one quick small joke, and then him just being
Yeah.
like, "Oh crap,
Yes. Yes. No, he kept going with it. Kept going
yeah,
with the oh, but you like but I forgot her name.
yeah."
Oh, but you like Nut Tuck and I'm Nut Tuck. And she's like, no, you're not Nut. type. But yeah, he just kept going with it.
Right, it should have been over there. I'll give you that. That part was really stupid.
So this terrible bowling episode.
It is.
Um, but Mako, afterwards, oh, after they steal all of Asami's stuff, her and Mako share a kiss, which Mako's broken up. Asami knows,
They were
and
on a
Mako's broken
break.
up. Yeah, they were on a more than a break.
Friends reference number 2 in this
Um,
episode.
and
Wait, no, that was before we started recording. My bad, audience.
yeah,
My bad.
that's what it was. So yeah, they don't I have nothing against them kissing. It's all kosher.
For the record, that demonstrates the conversations that we have also off the podcast are just also strings of tangents. That's really all they ever are.
Yes.
No issues there at all. In fact, as far as romantic drama goes, which I typically avoid, this is kind of a tamer one that I can sort of palate. No issues.
No. Let's see. So then Mako then goes to visit Bolin on the set, and he comes in contact with this guy who's like in charge of the pyrotechnics. Which weirdly enough, I did laugh at the scene where Bolin is like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to do my big scene with the pyrotechnics. It's with explosions and stuff. Well, we like to call it pyrotechnics in the biz." And the guy's like, "All right, get ready to film the explosions." And then he's like, "Or we call it explosions." Um, so then Mako's like, he sees how the explosions are going off and it's triggering him to think like, oh, well, this is the
exactly how it had
yeah,
happened on
exactly.
the ship or whatever.
So then he goes and talks to the pyrotechnics guy, and he's like, oh yeah, it's a Varric Technologies thing that they invented, and then that pretty much puts two and two together, and he goes to Sami to to tell her who it is, and then Varric is there. Varric buys a controlling stake in Future Industries, and pretty much at this point it's confirmed that Varric is one behind all of this. Which it's a twist I didn't see coming, but it's a twist that felt insignificant to me. Like I needed it. I needed
Varric's
it to
just
mean
not
more.
important enough to our A plot of the series or of the season.
Yes, exactly. He is completely the B plot of a season, which I feel like seasons usually don't have B plots.
Big
Well,
B plot twists like or that I would
maybe
say
they do
usually
because
a big twist like this isn't for a B plot.
yeah,
I don't. I remember being very surprised, and everybody knows I like Varric, and I remember being very surprised at the time. I wasn't expecting that at all. When he finds out it's Varric, I was legitimately upset. I kind of wish they had played it different, like Varric trying to play it cool or trying to snide or cunning or whatever when Mako gets in the room.
oh yeah,
There's like he's just got like a weird facial expression. Like Varric's not evil; he's just an evil businessman. That's a different kind of evil. But it's also a situation that makes me mad. There's certain times in TV and movies where I'm like, if you would just do things a little bit different right here. And my example is like right here,
Mhm.
just because Varric was in there, I wouldn't not tell Asami I know how to firebend. I would just be like, hey Asami, that guy's stealing your shit and blowing up your boats and stuff. And if he moves because there's nobody else in this room, I'm gonna firebend him. And that's exactly how that would have gone down. I held up the detonator, just like instant
Varric
proof.
does
Like,
seem like the type of person that will squeal if given
I
like if Mako just threatened to with him with some fire, he probably would squeal and admit
you've got your
what he was
instant
doing.
proof, like in your hands, so Asami's gonna believe you. There's no reason for her to not believe you. So it's one of those where it's like I would definitely do it differently. I walk in there, and even when I saw him, I'd be like, "Oh, hey, very good timing. Nice to see you, buddy."
Yeah. You're just the guy I was looking for, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole sequence, I I I don't want to say I didn't like it. Like it was fine, and I didn't mind the twist or it. But
I
I
mean,
one of those sequences that I'm
maybe
like, I definitely would have handled that differently.
I could I could see him maybe wanting to play cool because Asami is really happy that her company is saved now. So that busting Varric now would put Asami's company
But she's going to get
in
money out
jeopardy.
of Varric with, they have tangible proof that it, like she's going to
That's
get money
true.
out of him anyway. Maybe not to the extent that a partnership, but I don't know. I don't know how good the justice system is in the world of Avatar at delivering financial returns. I had no
Yeah.
idea, but
I don't know how to fit this twist that I don't like. It's not that I don't like that Varric is a bad person. I actually like it because it helps out his growth in later seasons, which which is comedic and everything. I love this. Oh man,
is
those
it fair to say that it's kind of a microcosm of maybe why this season isn't great? Is that like this particular part, for example, gets blown up maybe a little bigger than it deserves, or that it has to carry the weight of a couple episodes when it's really just a B plot that's not super integral to the end result? Like,
uh,
sort
I
of
don't
a.
know. I was thinking about this. I think also one of the issues with this season. I think this is not my favorite season, which is
I think I would be
clearly
hard pressed to find somebody who really enjoyed this season more than just
my daughter,
about
as we
any
I
other
think as
one. I'm not going to discredit your daughter's opinion. That's too cute.
but the thing is, she really likes a couple of the episodes that are really good. Like she's not gonna be like, oh, I really want to watch The Sting and
She,
Peacekeepers. Usually, those aren't their favorite episodes.
totally
But one of
fair.
the issues I think with the season is that there's not a it jumps around. There's not a constant narrative. It takes it's not steady, I guess. Right, because you start off in the North Pole. I'm sorry, you start off in the South Pole, and then you go to Republic City, and then you get a flashback, and then you go back to the South Pole. Um,
We
and
don't have a
also
nice,
Korra,
crisp arc like we do in basically every other season of this universe.
yeah, and Korra, the main character, really the only character that's given, I think, some great character development, at least up to this point, especially this season. I think this season a lot of characters' relationships regressed. So the main character is not in she's not in this episode except for the end, but she doesn't even know herself. And then there's another episode coming up that she's not really in either. And then there's two of the next episodes which are great episodes, but nonetheless she's not in it. So the main character, who the whole series is really about, whose the main focus on, she's not in four of the 12 episodes, so she's not in a third of the episodes. So it just kind of hurts the consistency of the season.
And like just we're so the one of the many reasons that we like Avatar as much as we do, especially like the first show. We're talking about a big, crisp story arc, start to finish. Maybe this season just doesn't resemble that strongly enough. Even at this point, like I know what happens at the end vaguely. I know the end game, but I don't remember the steps in between here and there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of telling. But
Yeah, so it ends with Korra waking up on probably no, Roku's Crescent Island's been destroyed. On some island, just the Fire Sage's island. They don't really say what island it is. Um, and then she doesn't remember her name or anything. That's how the episode ends.
and that is the sting. And let's get to some ratings.
All right, audiovisual, a six. There wasn't really anything here for me. Like I don't. Yeah, I can't even think of anything. Wait a minute. Did I give audiovisuals? I thought I gave audiovisual seven. Maybe I didn't.
Let me check my phone real quick.
There was something, I
You give
think.
it what you want to give it, and I'll correct my ratings in
Okay.
hindsight.
Uh,
Gosh darn it. Um, okay. In my defense, you send your ratings out of order. I'm blaming you for this one.
I go
Um,
story out of visual, then memorable.
you do that all the time, which is
Yeah.
fine. I don't even know why I do it the way that I do it.
That's okay.
I
I
honestly
gave
have no
audiovisual a
logical
7.
order. Okay, my bad. So yeah, audiovisual 7. You just ignore what you see up
Uh,
there, humans.
oh, you know what was a really good scene, audiovisual wise, was Korra waking up. It's a beautiful scene for some reason. Like, oh, there's like a good sense of like lens flare and stuff.
It's
Very
very,
small moment,
very
but
unexpected too.
yeah,
Why do I go in the order? I could go alphabetical. That would make sense. I could lead with the most important one that we both give the highest weight to. That would make sense. But the order that I have it in makes no sense at all. I will give you that.
Mm.
Oh, no idea.
I gave audiovisual a 7. Story, I gave story a 6
Yes, you did.
because because I do not like the story. I feel like characters regress. This is unlike the previous episode where I felt like even though I didn't love the story, I felt like the story was necessary um, as a segue and it was needed. This one I don't feel was needed as much. So it got a 6. Memorable, a 6.5. There was a couple little funny things here and there, and then um, there was something else with anyway, I don't remember apparently. It wasn't that memorable. But 6.5. So give it out to a 6.7.
Sorry I messed up your ratings. Now I'm starting to think back and wonder how many times I've done that we just haven't noticed because they're like real close. Look back at all these episodes. I've been mixing it up the whole time. Audiovisual. It's fine with the audiovisuals. Like pretty standard fare. I liked being on the boat for the Sting mission itself. I thought that was kind of fun.
Oh
Sto-
yeah, that's yeah.
the story actually like the in kind of our I don't want to say argument, but something we come across like quite a bit is that this story like by itself is an okay story, right? We get the Sting from beginning to end. You get to see the culprit at the end. It's like a little serial episode story that you could slap it anywhere. It's not really that integral to the larger story, but I like what's here well enough. Um, Memorable. If I could take it back, I'd probably dunk it down a little bit further on the memorable scale. But in general, there's something about what's going on here that does stick in my mind. Like when I saw the Sting, I knew what episode I was about to watch, and that doesn't happen very often for me. I don't usually remember that kind of stuff. Remembered the big twist at the end, maybe because of Eric. So I don't know, little things stuck out to this one about me. There's certain things that you brought up that I don't know if I realized how much I did not like, and I probably would have docked it off the story or the memorable a little bit, but it is what it is. So 7.1. Actually, if you flip your two scores around, you could probably dock that
Probably so.
another tenth or two, give or take.
Yeah.
Couple tenths maybe.
I
Um,
wonder, are these the worst back-to-back episodes that we've reviewed in all of Avatar?
they're pretty rough because what was last one? 7-7
As
and then 7-1.
yeah.
That's an interesting question that I would like to visit when we're done. Give me a reminder when we're done recording tonight. I'd like to look at it,
Okay.
curiosity's sake. And at least I think this one would probably be, if we flip yours around, I think it's going to be a 7 or a 6.9, give or take. Quick math. So that is the real quick version of The Peacekeepers, which is Book 2 Spirits, Chapter 5. And then the full version, to whatever extent it deserves, of The Sting, that's Book 6. I will say that I like this less, like, after talking with you than I did, like, and that's fine, right? It just, I
Yeah.
don't, learning or realizing things I didn't pick up on or what have you. I definitely don't, like, I like it less now after having discussed it with you at some length. But as I was watching it, like I said, I generally enjoyed things, but I think there's a good amount of bias too. I do like Varric. I think Varric's a weirdly entertaining character, so that twist probably means more to me than it deserves to. Um, you can tangibly maybe skip it. I don't think I would go as far as to say that you should, but you probably could, and you wouldn't really. Maybe a couple episodes later when Varric apologizes for his crimes, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I bet this is what happened. You just put two and two together and skip the whole episode. I can see that. Final thoughts on either episode, Chris? Either or.
I am very excited to skip these and then move on to the next two, which I get. Wait, are we gonna record them together? Because it's a part one and part two. Part maybe I don't know.
Keep in mind, so I haven't watched them yet, and I don't remember anything, so I'll trust your judgment. You tell me. We
They
could do
are
it
part
together.
one and part two, and they are the most like out of all the part
Okay,
one
I'm
and
trying.
part twos, two-part episodes. These two go hand in hand together. You
Okay.
can't detach them.
So one episode, one rating probably for us,
Yeah.
but not next week. Next week we got something very exciting, I think, going on, and it'll drop a little earlier. Drop it on like Thursday afternoon in U.S. Central Time. So check that out next Thursday. We're very excited to bring that to you. In the meantime, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my
My
friend.
name's Chris.
Yeah, you could carry your own introductory weight. That's
No, that's
fine.
fine.
We have an Instagram that we don't really pay attention to, a Facebook page that we do pay attention to. It's facebook.com/Avatar The Last Podcasters, and a Twitter feed that we pay attention to, and that is at last_podcasters. This has been Avatar The Last Podcasters review of Peacekeepers and the Sting, which is Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits Chapters 5 and 6. Thank you very much for watching and listening us go on a tangent about mediocre movies. We will see you next time.